All right, guys, so I wanted to give you a bit of a breakdown of what we're actually building when we speak about a marketing flywheel. So everything we want to point is towards one core offer. So your core offer is in the middle like this. Okay, so this is the thing that you're selling, the thing that everything is funneling into. So in my case, is overflow. So once you have your core offer, this is where you can start building out what leads to overflow and what leads to your specific core offer. So most of the time, people only rely on content, specifically short form content. So that's things like Instagram Reels, TikTok, etc., etc. Now, even though this is a fundamental part, if it's the only thing that's in your flywheel and feeding your core offer, you ultimately are going to end up with a business that you are constantly relying on people coming to you off the back of your short form content. Now, remember, the whole purpose of what we're doing is to build brand span. So if somebody sees your particular reel or whatever, they may consume on average 2 to 3 minutes per week, okay? Which is not a lot of time. Depending on what research you look at, people need anywhere between 2 hours to 25 hours, depending on what you read and what kind of audience they are, to actually buy from you. So this is going to take a long time to accumulate people's interest. Does it work on its own? Yes. If you want to play the long game, have people build businesses off of this alone? Yes. Is it harder to build a business from content alone than it was a couple of years ago? Absolutely. And that's why a lot of people are now experiencing some form of income dip or a sales dip. So alongside that, can you see that bug? Go away. Go away, bug. Gross, that's what I don't like about spring. Anyway, what we want to do after we've built this is want to build out the rest of the flywheel. So we want to include email. Why do we want to include email? Email is a massive nurture. It takes people from your content and it delivers more brand span. And ultimately, your email list is the biggest money maker. If you read about all of the most successful people who have successful companies, the people like, what's his name? The guy that runs ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson, all of the kind of like Alex Hormozi, they all email. Maria Went is another example in like the kind of online coaching industry. They all email, but the average email time to take someone from email to client is 9 months, okay? Again, does that always work out? No. Can people join a lot faster? Yes. If you follow the ask email specifically on a Friday and you nurture them through the week, is it less time? Typically, yes. But when you start the email game, most people email for a month or 6 weeks if they even get that far, and then they give up thinking it's not working. But you want to play the long game. Email at least 3 times a week, ideally 5. Now, how you get people from your email to your email list from short form is through lead magnets. And this is why with your lead magnets that you have set up via ManyChat, you want that to be funneling people from your content to your lead magnet, which is for free, that gets them on your email list. Now, the other thing to point out is once they get your lead magnet, you also want to make sure that they have a follow-up. Because once they have a follow-up message through ManyChat, you can then start the DM script and sell by chat. So you then have 2 parts of your flywheel. You have your content, your lead magnet, and your emails. Now we want to think about brand span even more. So this is where long form comes in. And no, you don't have to have all of these things in place straight away, but this is what we're building up to. Long form is an entirely different game. So this is things such as YouTube, like long YouTube podcasts. You can do things like free masterclasses. Are the most important, and then masterclasses become a third if you wanted like the best situation. Now what these do is people spend more time on brand. So now we think about your flywheel. We have your core offer in the middle. We have content that's going out, and like I said, most people only do this. 2 to 3 minutes per week, average people are going to be consuming. Then we build them in a lead magnet, more trust, more resonance, more time on brand. Then we're going to introduce the follow-up, sell by chat, more conversations, more conversion. Then we're going to come down to email because the lead magnet is going to get them on our email list. That's going to increase brand span, and we're going to be nurturing them, but it takes 9 months, so it's the long game. Alongside this, we're going to have our long form, which we're then going to use to feed the email. So this is where, like, you release a new podcast episode, you can send it to your email list. You release a new freebie or a new YouTube episode long form, you again deliver it to your email list. So this again is increasing time on brand, but you're nurturing them even more because the long form that you're creating is now feeding your email. Your content is feeding your email. So this is where your email starts to become one of your biggest money makers. Now, other things that we want to be doing alongside the concepts, sorry, someone phoned me. These different concepts is we want to be thinking about, okay, once we have your content working, once we have the lead magnets popping and that's populating your email list, and then we're utilizing some form of long form and we're giving them freebies. Sometimes I'll literally just record an audio and send it over to my email list to nurture them and get them more warmed up. We can then put this on steroids. So this is when you may start considering ads. Now, there's multiple different things you can do with your ads. You can do a lead magnet ad, which is what I recommend. Why do I recommend a lead magnet ad? Because your lead magnet ad, they're going to specifically download a freebie, which means you can start a sell by chat conversation. They're going to go on your email list and it's free and they're going to get nurtured. I love that because you're ultimately paying for a lead, not for a sale, but you can, if you do these elements, increase them into actually being a paying client. My current lead magnet is operating at about 66p per lead. And these are hot leads. If you make your lead magnet relevant to what you're doing, you're going to get a lot of leads. Those leads come through and then you have multiple things that you can do with them. Number one, they're going to be on your email list, so they're getting brand span. Number two, they're going to consume your long form. Your long form is going to be put into your email, which is going to mean that they're going to be creating more time on brand. They're also then most likely going to follow you on social media. Not always, but the email sequence that you're going to populate for people that come through ads are going to invite them somewhere else. So it'll be like, number one, grab the lead magnet. Number two, join me in XYZ place. So give them another resource, whether it's a free community you have, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's your Instagram broadcast, whether it's a Telegram group, whether it's just some kind of other free resource. Give them something else they can spend more time on brand and then invite them to follow you on social media. Now, once you have all of these things working, this is where the Friday ask is so important in your content. Because when you do a Friday ask and you send things like, I'm putting together a group of XYZ people, I'm looking for XYZ individuals, or I have 2 spaces left, this is for you if, this is not for you if. What this is doing is your content, your lead magnets, your nurturing, your emails, your long form, your ads, all of this is working together so that when you ask this, these all only work as well as they work in a flywheel if then you ask this question. If you don't ask this question, the rest of it, you're just relying on people coming to you. But actually, inviting people into your offer is one of the most incredible things that you can do inside of your business. This is what we're building when we're having a flywheel. Are there other things that we can build alongside this? Yes, you can run events, you can do free masterclasses, you can do workshops, you can do paid workshops, you can invite people into your offer. Other things that you can consider doing if you wanted to is, for example, you run a monthly challenge or you run a challenge every quarter. Why do you run a challenge? It's a different offer, but you're populating your main offer. You might decide 1 week a month that you're going to focus on one-to-one intensives. Why would you do intensives? Not for a cash injection, even though, yes, they give a cash injection, but to then upsell these people on the call. Everything has to be intended for this. So if you decide to run a challenge, you run a challenge and you get really good at pitching. If you run a masterclass, you run a masterclass and get really good at pitching for this core offer. If you decide to open up one-on-one intensives, 60-minute calls, etc., you do it with the intention of funneling people here. That's why you want one core offer, so everything is in sync. So I just thought I would build you out like kind of a concept of what we're actually building inside of Overflow and why all of these pieces to the puzzle make this wheel work. Because that's where we have the short form, the lead magnets, the sell by chat, and everything works together. Now, remember that the more you put into your business, the more you get out. So if you're just posting content and hoping for sales, you're going to be waiting a long time because we're not in 2020 anymore where that typically works. You want to make sure that you've got your lead magnets going out. You want to make sure that you're following up with people and you're actually using the DM script. This sell by chat DM script is literally so freaking good. It works every time. Use the sell by chat script. Make sure that if you're using lead magnets, you're actually nurturing your email list. So many people's email lists are just completely dormant. You want to make sure that if you are emailing, you're utilizing long form, or if you don't have a podcast or YouTube because you're not quite there yet, you're at least creating audios or creating little mini. If you're doing ads, don't waste money on ads if you're not going to nurture them. So if you're not going to bother doing the emailing and you're not going to bother following up with the sell by chat, don't bother doing ads because you're just going to end up with a bunch of leads that have got your freebie and they don't become clients. So all of these things work together, and finally, you invite them into your offer on a Friday. That is what populates your core offer alongside these little other things that you might do: challenges, intensives, masterclasses, paid workshops. all of these extra things that we can add to your flywheel as you begin to scale. Do you need all of these things initially? Absolutely not. You need to have your content, you want to make sure you're emailing, and you want to have your lead magnets. They're the kind of main things. Once you've got that spinning and you're working and you're doing that consistently, then you want to bring in a form of long form, whether it's YouTube, podcast, or you want to start recording on your email list. That's the biggest reason. As well as spending more time on brand. Now, because imagine that they spend 2 to 3 minutes a week on your content if you just post on social media. But then if they come into your email list and they consume your lead magnet, that might be 3 minutes on Instagram. It might be, let's say your lead magnet is a 10-minute training. Might be 10 minutes on the lead magnet. Then they might spend on average 10 minutes a week on your emails. Then say you send them a podcast episode and it's 20 minutes long. That's your long form. That, even just those, means that they're spending like best part 45 minutes a week on your stuff versus 2 to 3 minutes. That massively collapses the amount of time that it takes someone to buy from you. This is why we're building this out. You do this consistently, you end up with this flywheel, which is why we call it a flywheel, because ultimately the flywheel means that no matter what you do, you are constantly repopulating it. You're getting your content and you're kind of going in this circle. You're populating your content, it's bringing in lead magnet, or you're creating lead magnets, it's bringing people on your email list, you're creating long form, you're utilizing ads where possible to put this on steroids once it's working, you're utilizing sell by chat, you get really good at pitching, you run things intentionally if you want to run something else. These are not essential, you don't have to. I very rarely run these things for overflow, I just, sell overflow, but there are times that I do incorporate these things. You want to make sure you're asking people every single Friday. And this is how you build out a flywheel. And then ultimately, one of the biggest things you can do on your content is social proof. And so the more people that come through your flywheel, the more people that join your core offer, the more people fuel social proof, which then also means that you get more people who are interested from content. So this is kind of the flywheel, and I thought it would be helpful to break it down.